everybody, this is Kristi Nazzaro and I'm going to be doing a tutorial today for StencilGirl Products. I'm actually going to make an acrostic poem, and that's a poem in which the letters go down and you actually form a poem out of the word. So I'm going to be making something very similar to this. It's a little tag booklet using StencilGirl stencils, and I'm doing rainbow theme. I've been experimenting with monochrome in my work, so I actually incorporated that in the tutorial today. So let me tell you a few things that you're going to need. The first thing you're going to need are tags. These are 6 by 3, and I just put a very light layer of gesso on them so that my paint had something to adhere to. Of course, you're going to need stencils, and I used a whole bunch of 4x4 stencils by StencilGirl. I'll actually put the list of what stencils I used in my blog post. It'll be on the supply list. These are watercolor circles that I made, and I just cut them out. I freehand cut them out. So you're going to need some of those. Some fabric scraps. I have these in rainbow colors. Like I said, you can use any word. I actually used Wiebe for this project, and you can use any word: love, believe, dream, anything like that, and go with any colors that you like. You're going to need these book rings. I actually bought these at Walmart. They only had a multi-pack. We're really only going to use the one small ring, so if you have it in your stash, that's probably best. Paint. Because I'm going with the monochromatic theme in this project, you're going to need a dark color and you're going to need a light color of each color that you choose. In addition, you're just going to need a whole bunch of makeup sponges. This is how I apply paint to my projects, so you're just going to need a little pack of those. And without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that you're going to want to do is I put the dark tone of the color down first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put all of the dark colors. So I have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and purple. I'm going to put the darker color down first and let that dry. And once that's dry, then I'm going to go ahead and go back over with a lighter color in the stencil. But let's just start by doing this. We'll go first add the dark colors. I just use a makeup sponge to apply everything. And really just move it along, move it around on the tag. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna want the variation in color anyway. Some spots may be darker than others. That's okay because we're covering it with the stencil. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this with every color. And then once they're finished and once they're dry, I'll see you back. I did all the backgrounds in the darker tone for my tags. So now it's time to add the good stuff, the stencils. So I'm going to start with red. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use a pink because it's a little bit lighter. I didn't have too much of a lighter red. So pink is light red, I think. So what you're going to do is get a clean sponge, dip it in the lighter color, and then just go across it. Just dab it lightly. I try to have a lighter hand because sometimes when you have too much paint on, then it smears underneath if you're not holding the stencil real tight. What I'll end up probably doing on this is actually outlining the stencil with a white gel pen or a Posca pen just to make it pop more. go like this. And I just move the stencil over, go down here. I like it to be a little bit different. I'm actually going to be cutting these tags because it's going to look like steps. Once I put my ring on it, I want you to be able to see the rainbow. So I'm not too concerned with how it comes out. I try to be careful because I don't want to smear anything. I really like the way the monochrome theme is. I really enjoyed that. I had been experimenting with it in my art journals, and I loved the way that that looked. And you'll see how it all ties in with the fabric scraps and the watercolor circles. You'll see how it all ties in. The different textures really make it look great. So this is the first one. I'm gonna go ahead and move on and go to, do this to each of the tags with different stencils, and then I'll meet you back. Applied on top of the darker color of the tag. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go over some of these with a white pen. I have a white gel pen. I also have a charcoal pencil, and then I have a Stabilo. It's just a white, it's kind of a crayon material. It's actually a Stabilo all. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just kind of trace around. I like the way that it makes the stencil pop, just like this. Okay, see the difference? It's still monochromatic, but it makes it pop a little bit. In addition to that, once I add all of the outlines and things like that, and I won't do it on all of them, but I'll do it on some of them. Then what I do is I go ahead and I go in using a paintbrush and I just make some splatters. Okay, just like this. I just tap it and make some splatters. So I'm gonna go ahead, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to outline the stencils on my tags, and I'm going to splatter paint, and then I will meet you back so that you can see the next step, which is going to be watercolor circles. Thank you. Now that my tags are stenciled and splatter painted, I'm gonna go ahead and start working on the circles. So what I like to do is I like to take a stencil. I have a little bit of white paint over here. It's actually the golden titanium white in the, I believe it's a fluid paint. So what I do is I like to just add smaller stencils to my watercolor circles. I love the way that it looks. I really enjoy the smaller art marks that these stencils make. So I don't go too crazy because you're going to add your words onto here. This is where your words are going to be. So I don't go too crazy. I just add a little here and a little there. Okay, I have it in white. I'll probably use a little bit of black as well on the different colors of circles. I like to add just a little pop of color. It actually makes it pop up when you're when it's put together on your tag. See, it just gives it a really nice little look. Just an addition, just another piece of the project. See, I have the circles are almost finished. Everybody has a little bit of mark on them. And what I'll do is once they're sewed onto the tags, I'll go ahead and hand draw a few art marks on them as well. So now it's time to put the project together. So the next step is, as I was saying earlier, I'll show you my sample. I want to make it steps, right? So what I want to do is I want to trim a little off of each tag to make sure that when my project is complete, you can see that it's the rainbow. So clearly purple, not going to be trimmed. I'm going to use the full size. The next one is the indigo. Okay, so I just want to take a little bit off. I'm going to use a white pencil so I know where I'm cutting. I don't ever measure anything. So there's that. So there's a little bit of a learning curve. I'm just going to take a little teeny bit off. I just make a mark right here. Okay. I'm using a smaller cutter. I have about 3 or 4 different cutters, but this trimmer is an old Creative Memories trimmer. When I'm cutting small things, I like that. I like that it's small. It's, you know, I can bring it with me and everything. So see, now you can see how it's going to be steps. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that with all of the tags. So I'll put the purple over here. So the next one is actually going to be blue. I'm going to line it up here. But I need to see where I need to cut. I'm actually going to cut a little bit more off on this one. So I think for this, I'm going to try probably right here. I'd rather try it a few times, maybe start by not cutting too much off, and then seeing where I'm at. Okay, so when you hold it together like this, you can see the steps. So we're going along well. I would like to mention these pieces you should put right into your stash. These are great to add into your art journals or I'm always sewing little bits together of material and watercolor pieces. I call them my soul snacks. I would save these pieces. They're really great to use. So now I'm going to go ahead and move forward and do the rest of the tags, and I'll meet you back when it's ready for the next step. Perfect. Now that I have everything trimmed, I'm ready to start putting all of the elements together. As you can see, I did type my poem out, and because it's rainbow, and to make a rainbow, you need Wiebe. If you remember when you were in grade school, that's how you learned the colors of the rainbow. My actual poem is reflect on your growth, build intentional visions. Okay, so R red, O orange, Y yellow, G green, B blue, I indigo, and V for the violet. So what you're gonna do is I'm gonna take my watercolor circle, set these to the side for now, and I'm gonna work on each tag individually. So I have multiple colors, not multiple colors, but I have multiple pieces of fabric that I'm actually going to add to the tag. I'm going to sew them using my machine, but before I do that, I want to set it up. I want to see how this will look. I'm a big fan of tearing material, so I'll probably do something along these lines. Tuck this guy over here. I love the threads. I think the threads are probably my favorite part of every project. If you follow me at all on Instagram and you see my posts, all of my art journal pages and projects usually have some form of fabric with the strings. I never trim strings. So I want to show you what I do and how I do this. So I'll add the words, I'll cut them out like this, and I'll add them. And what I'll probably do is I'll mess around with the material. I'll put different pieces in different places. I'll rip different pieces, and then I'll set it aside. I'm not gonna sew it together until I have them all together. I'm sure I'll glue the word onto the circle, but it's gonna look something like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do this with every tag and get them set up before I start to sew them. Now I have them all set up in the colors. I added the words. I actually glued the words on using a glue stick, and now I'm ready to sew them. This is where you can make any changes. You can look at it, see what you like, what you don't like. If you want to change some materials, does it all flow? I will go back and probably outline these with a white pen, and like I told you, I'm actually going to add some art marks to it. But for now, I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine and I am going to stitch each one of these up. Now that I have everything sewn, when you flip it over, that doesn't really look appealing to me. Sometimes I leave it in my projects, but in a project like this, which is something that's really going to be displayed and shown as a piece of positivity, I'm going to keep it in my studio. I want the back to be finished. So what I'll do is I'll just take a glue stick. I have some old sheet music. I'm going to add some glue to this. I like my threads always to hang out, so I try to keep those out of the way. I'm just going to add some glue to the back of the tag. And I'll just lay it down like this. I'm going to go ahead and do that with all of the tags, okay? All of them, every color. I'm going to allow it to dry, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut around it. I'll do this one so you can see. This is a good time if you don't like those threads, you can go ahead and trim those threads off if you didn't like them. I'm going to leave them because, like I said, I really like them. So then you're just going to want to go around the edges like this. The yellow one off. Okay. And just trim around the edges. Careful. I already trimmed off the yellow string, which makes me a little sad. So now the back of your project is going to be music paper instead of it looking like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the backs of all of these, and then I'll meet you back to put this together. Now that everything, the backs are all completed, we're gonna go ahead and add this to the ring. Just a note, from putting the music sheets on the back, it covers the tag, the hole where the tag is, so you'll just wanna take your hole punch and kind of punch a hole through there. I already did that on these. So we're gonna go purple, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. This is a good time to look at each tag, see if there's anything that you want to change on it, see if there's any marks that you want to add. I found this rainbow ribbon in my stash. I made it with some spray inks and some seam binding. So what I'm going to do is cut small pieces and attach it to the ring. I'm going to go through these and make sure that if there's any marks that I want to add, I'll add the marks, and then our project will be complete. Okay, so here we have the finished product. I tied all the ribbons over on the ring, and we'll just flip through it. Reflect on your growth. Build intentional visions. And there you have it. A little tag booklet, an acrostic poem. I would really love to see what you guys make. If you're going to do monochrome, or if you're going to do the steps, what words you would use. You can find me on Instagram as Soul Positive. I'm also on Facebook. I have a website, www.soul-positive.com. I'd love to connect with you. Thanks. Have a great day.